Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I've heard a lot of discussions about surrogacy recently, and when I had a discussion with a friend and left her a voice note, someone suggested I should share it with more people, and when I did that, I was asked to share my views more publicly. So I thought, why not just make a podcast sharing my views on childbirth in its entirety. When someone comes to me and says they want to have a child, my first question always is, why do you want a baby? Unfortunately, most of us have been programmed to believe that it is just something that we have. It's completely thoughtless for most people. Many people, when asked this question, just go blank and stare at me as if I asked them some ridiculous question. As if, duh, I got married, now I want a baby. Why would I wonder why? Having a baby is a 20-year investment, and that's a minimum. If you look around now, it is usually a 40-year investment almost, because many children nowadays are not getting married, they're still staying dependent on parents, so it's a minimum 20-year investment. And if you don't know why, the journey is going to get very, very painful. But also, really, why do you want a baby? Are you okay with just anyone for a baby? Are you okay with an unhealthy baby? Are you okay with an unintelligent baby? We're very optimistic when it comes to something as random as childbirth. A number of things could go wrong, and they're increasingly going wrong every single day. More and more children are born with some or the other birth defect, and more children are developing delays in 4 or 5 years. So if you really want a baby, for the right reasons, none of this matters. You love them and they add value to your life regardless. And if you really genuinely want a baby and want to give your very best to the baby, then you should be ideally preparing your body and your mind for this at least a year in advance. You should be reading up on parenting books. You should be chanting, meditating, preparing your physical body for the baby, eating the right foods, doing the right exercises, getting to the peak of your health. Pregnancy is a very, very demanding thing. And as a man also, the quality of your health determines the quality of your sperm. And I find it so fascinating, how obsessive we are about organic foods, that there should be no chemicals in our foods. But we have absolutely no problems in pumping our bodies with chemicals in order to have a baby. I just don't understand it. So, in the very least, meditation. I have so many clients who have had trouble conceiving for a year or two, and they come and learn Reiki. The moment they start practicing, they conceive a child. In some cases, children cannot be born to you because your vibration is too low. So the moment you raise your vibration, it is easier for a soul to step in. So if you have issues having children, you may want to consider that you're just not at the level where you can conceive. This is not the only solution, but many times this is all that is needed. Now, I have observed in my practice of working with thousands of people that I see two types of mothers. We are not realizing yet that human population has really crossed a certain point. We're about to hit 8 billion. It is a very, very, very large population. We are costing the earth. Every single human being is here at the price of several thousands of other beings. Every single moment we live, we are polluting the airs and the waters and whatnot. We are raiding the earth of its resources, and nature is worried. and nature is reducing the capacity of people to have children. So in my views, as I have observed, there are a few mothers that are sort of chosen to have children, and they have it very easy. They have children easily, but it's not just about childbirth. I have observed that these people have it very easy even raising their children. Their children don't scream and torture them by staying up all night. They sleep all night. They don't harass the mother in any way. They don't throw unmanageable tantrums. All children throw tantrums, but nothing that is, sending the mother on edge and giving her anxiety and panic attacks. There are no postpartum depressions. It's easy. Raising the children is easy. And I've seen that most natural mothers tend to have more than one child because obviously the first one is such a charm. They don't mind having a second one. And the children grow up to be beautiful, compatible with the family. They grow up to be friends, and the relationships are pretty beautiful all around. And I'm talking about observing people over like a couple of decades. I'm not just talking about 2 or 5 years. So in such cases, motherhood itself is a different experience because nature pumps you with love hormones for at least 3 years. At least. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can be pumped with love hormones for 5 or 7 years. So motherhood becomes an entirely different experience. This is what everyone is after. Nobody really cares about having a baby. Everybody wants to be pumped with those love hormones. That's why we all want to feel giving like a mother, right? But not everyone is going to have that luxury, is what I'm explaining here. What I call natural mothers, they have that. They have all these chemicals, the love hormones, and also the hormones that make it possible for them to actually stay up at night effortlessly, so they can go months without sleeping well and still cope quite easily. It's not that taxing on their systems. In contrast, what I call unnatural mothers struggle like crazy. Having children is a struggle, and then raising children is an even bigger nightmare. It is extremely difficult. Children are always taxing the mother, either emotionally or physically, and eventually developing some sort of delays in growing up. In one or the other way, they cause a drain on the system. The important thing to understand over here is that if it happens naturally, it is in alignment with nature. And if it doesn't, this is where things get really complicated, because every woman thinks just because she wants a baby, it's a natural thing and it is in alignment with nature. No, it's not. A desire to have a baby nowadays, I have spoken to so many women, a desire to have a baby, as much as I've observed in most women, comes from a space of deep lack. They feel empty. They feel a huge lack of love in their lives, and they expect that once the baby comes, they will feel more fulfilled. And you know what? It's the total opposite of this. A baby doesn't give you, it takes from you. So when you have a baby, in order to complete yourself, you are not going to be a real mother. You will not be able to give unconditionally, in an unlimited way, infinitely to the child, because you wanted the child to feel complete. You are incomplete to begin with. How then will you give to another life that is completely dependent upon you for its very survival? So it's a very tough, very unpleasant lesson to learn. Most people don't learn it, and that's okay. We all have our lessons to learn. Everything is in order. But if you really want to work on this, there is scope. So that is what I wanted to say about the sort of mothers we have. Now I want to move on to the type of births children have and how it impacts them. I don't know if you've heard of that story where a man found a butterfly emerging from its pupa and he felt so bad at the struggle it had to go through that the next time he just cut open the pupa. When he did that, the butterfly couldn't fly. Birth is like that. A natural birth actually lubricates the skin, the muscles, all that effort that the child has to put in. Changes the physiology and the psychology of the child. The first lesson of the child is life is a struggle. So it makes struggle natural for the child to push, to fight for life. Becomes natural and effortless for the child. C-section babies, on the other hand, I'm not judging them. I'm a C-section baby myself, so I know this, having studied my own psychology and then studying other people. When you are a C-section baby, what happens is that you've had the easy way out. You haven't had to struggle. So when you observe carefully enough, you will find that when the going gets really tough, C-section children want to leave. They're not interested in fighting beyond the point anymore. I don't mean not shouting and screaming, Everybody is quite open these days to drama. But really fighting for survival, fighting to grow, fighting to thrive. No, they are not so motivated for this. There's also usually lower physical strength and energy in such children. It goes even further when it comes to IVF and even worse when it comes to surrogacy. See, what we have to understand is that a surrogate woman, very rarely there are times when a surrogate woman becomes a surrogate out of pure compassion. Like I was told that one woman was carrying her granddaughter essentially, because her daughter had a damaged womb. So then she became pregnant for the sake of her daughter. Now that kind of surrogacy is out of pure love. That's different. But if you are renting a woman's womb for having a baby, it's a very different story. Why is the surrogate mother giving her body? And if the answer is she's doing it for money, then honestly I don't understand very much how this is different from prostitution in a way. You are renting your body for the sake of money. Money is the motivation, not love, not compassion. Nothing divine there, just money. The thing is, the subconscious messages we give to the child in such a case, those messages are horrendous. The mother, the biological mother, is telling the baby, you are not valuable enough for me to ruin my body for you. The surrogate mother is telling the baby, I'm in it for the money. You are not so valuable for me that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're just a guest here. You leave once this is over, once I get the money. So in either case, the baby is receiving the message, I am not enough, I am not wanted. And this is not even the complete story, right? Emotionally, there is a rejection from the biological mother. There is a rejection from the surrogate mother. Even if the mother is doing this because there is a biological reason why she cannot have a child, there will still be some sort of separation. But yes, the amount of rejection experienced will definitely be lesser. But this is not where the story ends. We talked about the emotional rejection on the part of the biological and the surrogate mother, but the rejection is very extremely physical as well. You see, in these processes, whether it is IVF or surrogacy, What happens is this fertilized egg is external, it is not natural. So the moment the body detects this, it starts to go into panic and it wants to throw this out because it sees it as a foreign body, foreign element. So what it's going to try to do is throw this out, and that's why the doctors pump the body with a whole lot of hormones and chemicals so that body cannot throw the egg. This causes damage on two levels. One, I would like to invite you to imagine that you are this baby inside the womb, and the womb actually thinks you are an enemy and it is trying to throw you out, and now there are all these chemicals being pumped so that you can stay here. Would you like to be that baby? Do you think you're ever going to feel safe? One of the most profound experiences in therapy, in hypnosis, is when we take a person back to the womb. It beats all other experiences of life. That feeling of safety is unparalleled. That is something your child will never experience if it is an IVF or a surrogate baby. It doesn't know what it's like to be safe. Therefore, it doesn't know what it's like to surrender into a relationship, to feel loved unconditionally. You don't know how to receive that if you've never felt what it's like to be genuinely safe. Second thing it does is the womb is the stepping stone. It's the first step of a soul into the world, into the earth. So this is very, very critical for grounding. And what happens in this space, in the womb, is what determines the future of the child. The first thing it is doing before it even arrives on earth is it is compromising the body of the mother itself. The baby says, I'm more important than you, which is not how it is in nature. In nature, the mother's body is always prioritized over the baby, and if the baby can harm the mother, it will be aborted. This is not the case in IVF and surrogate babies. Babies are higher priority than the health of the mother, and sometimes this is even conscious. Most mothers are aware that their health will be totally wrecked. They choose to have the baby anyway. The moment you bring a baby into the world with the attitude that it is the most important thing in the world, that person will never learn to be selfless, and selfishness will be basic, automatic nature for them. Not very pleasant now, is it? Okay, the next thing is that the cells of the baby are something that remain in the body of the mother even after birth. So you are connected on a very, very, very deep level. In terms of surrogacy, this is not the case at all. So there's a very deep element of connection that will be missing if the baby is a surrogate. Lastly, in terms of surrogacy, karma is all about vibration and energy patterns. Now, in a normal baby, we carry the karma of the mother and the father. But here, the child is going to develop inside the womb. It is going to be nourished, fed, and every single cell of its body is going to develop from the body of another woman. So it is going to carry her patterns, her ancestral trauma as well. I think it is fair to say that we struggle enough carrying the trauma of two lineages, mother and father. Surrogate children will carry the trauma of three lineages, mother, father, and surrogate mother. And it's really sad because such a child will also have to choose between birth mother, the biological mother, and the surrogate mother. So regardless of how much love they get, there will always be one element that is missing. If you are with your biological mother, then somewhere you feel the void of your surrogate mother. If you're with your surrogate mother, you feel the void of your birth mother. That feeling of completeness is very, very rare. The sort of souls that come through processes that are so artificial, like IVF and surrogacy, see, these processes, they destroy the womb through which they come. They destroy the mother itself. That level of ingratitude is very heavy, so it is usually not divine, highly conscious souls that come through these processes. Usually it is low vibration souls. So if you're going for any of these steps, please be prepared for that as well. Then a question that comes up very frequently is, what about adoption? Is that okay? Many people are very concerned that it's not their genes that are being propagated. And here I really want you to stop for a moment and ask you, what is the name of Einstein's child? Did he have a boy or a girl? What is the name of Newton's child? Did he even have children? You know? Do you know whether Picasso had any children? What is the value of a gene pool really? And is your gene pool even healthy enough? If nature doesn't consider that your gene pool is healthy enough to procreate, do you think it is really worth taking that sort of risk? What kind of diseases are you carrying in your bloodline? Are you sure you are ready to pass all of that on to another life? These are questions you should be looking at very carefully. In my view, we do make the world a better place when we adopt someone, and especially if we approach this with meditation and Reiki or whatever other practice that you have from a deep spiritual perspective, you will attract a soul that is in alignment with your family. I've seen some people adopt children like this, and they are beautiful children that don't actually harass the mothers again. It's a beautiful journey for them. Having said all this, what if you already have had children through one of these methods? To begin with, it is important to be an acknowledgement that you have started off, the child is starting off on a very weak note. They don't have a strong foundation. Their grounding, their connection with the earth is very poor to begin with. And we can try to do our very best for the rest, at least to make sure that we get the rest of it right, because the root chakra develops in the first 7 years of a child's age. So if we take care, we can at least ensure that this happens in a healthy way. The first thing would be, make the child a priority. It is a really sad generation where women want to have it all. They want the child, they want their promotions, and they want their awards. In this case, children suffer, especially if they are children that already have a weak start. Make the child important. Give the child all the time and the attention that it needs, and raise the child for the first 7 years with minimum traveling and without gadgets. This of course means that you're off of gadgets for the large part as well. If you really, really care, this makes a gigantic difference. Children need routines. The root chakra benefits and grows with regular, solid routines, dependable, predictable routines. So the more regular the routine for your child can be, the stronger its root chakra is going to be. The stronger its root chakra is, the more resilient your child becomes, the more comfortable with responsibilities it becomes, and therefore also the more compassionate it automatically becomes. And of course, parenting in general, if you are to do a good job of it, is a deeply spiritual process. So if you're serious about raising your child well, you should be working on yourself every single day. Your child is your biggest teacher. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.